Hi all, this is Manish, and in this video I'm going to cover the Windows Autopilot basics. So this is going to be Windows Autopilot guide. I would say a beginner's guide to configure the autopilot. Think about a scenario that a corporate user is receiving a device directly from the Dell or HP or the technician, the service desk of your organization. The user switch on the device and user connects through the internet and provides a username, password, and everything is been taken care on that device. So when I say everything is taken care, means the provisioning of device, which consists of applying the applications, policies, configuration, doing the Entra ID join, enrollment, everything will be happening, and within a matter of some time user will be able to log on and all the applications policies will be applied. So easy, right? So but at the back end a lot of things has to be done. So this is what we are going to cover in this video. So let's start. Just for easy understanding, I have divided the video into multiple topics. So treat it like a lesson. So lesson 1 will be preparing for Windows Autopilot. So when I say preparing for Windows Autopilot means we are thinking about that what exactly the ingredients recipes is required for you to start going with your Windows Autopilot. We are not focusing about that how the configuration has been done, because even before configuration you have to prepare for few things. Second lesson will be about the configuration on Intune for Windows Autopilot. So these are the basic configuration which will be required. For example, creation of Intune account, that Entra ID premium account, and few things we are going to do. And the lesson 3 is more focused upon the specifically for the autopilot configuration. So and after that we will be doing a demo, means that the device, Windows 11 device, we are going to use it like a autopilot and we'll be showing that how will be the look and feel. So our first lesson is about the preparing for Windows Autopilot. So this is kind of a recipe which I told you previously. So what we are going to do, we are going to download the Windows 11 ISO. So Windows Autopilot supports for Pro, Enterprise and Education, but the Microsoft provides Windows 11 Pro, which can be downloaded from the link which I have shared. Secondly, we are going to create the Intune trial account. So this Intune trial account will give us 30 days of access. So you can use the Intune trial account for 30 days with couple of licenses which will be provided. I think 25 licenses are there. And Autopilot to work, you also need to have a Microsoft Entra ID P1 or P2 subscription. For Autopilot to work, you also need to have a Microsoft Entra ID P1 or P2 subscription. So we are going to get that trial subscription also, which is also going to be valid for 30 days. So once we have Intune trial account and Intune Entra ID P1 and P2, then we are good to go with the Autopilot. So these two things are the very basic thing which is required for the Windows Autopilot. And the last thing is we need to have a device. You can have any physical device, any spare laptop at your home, which you can be used for Autopilot, or actually I would prefer any virtual machine. And I used to use a Hyper-V. So if you have a Hyper-V on your Windows 10 or Windows 11 device, you can have a virtual machine and you can utilize it for the Windows Autopilot. Second lesson is about the configuration on Intune. So it includes about the Entra ID join configuration, the MDM enrollment settings, creation of user account, assigning a license, and setting up the company branding. So I'm going to provide more detail when we are doing a demo, when we are going to do the configuration. But just keep in mind that once your lesson 2 is completed, you are not only ready with the Autopilot, actually you can start deploying your application configuration profiles, policies, MDM policies, everything to the device. So your device right after the lesson 2 is actually ready for your Intune configuration, but not fully ready for the Autopilot. And finally, the third lesson would be the Windows Autopilot configuration. This lesson will be specifically going to be focused more upon the Autopilot. So if you have already done or already aware of the lesson 1 and 2, means the basic Intune configuration, you can directly jump to this in this section. So this section is going to cover about few of the basic things for the Autopilot, means creation of dynamic group for the Autopilot, deployment profile, enrollment status page, and we are going to create a Microsoft 365 application also. It's a very easy application which we wanted to deploy using the Autopilot, and we'll be doing an upload hardware hash of the device. Don't worry if the things are not clear to you, just stay tuned with me, because I'm going to clear you every doubt whatever you're going to have. You just need to watch the video, because I'm just going to make this video quite interactive, where I'm going to perform the task and I will be going to explain you. And finally, there will be a demo of a Windows Autopilot device, and that how the look and feel will be there. So let's begin. Our first task will be to download the Windows 11 ISO. Use this link to download the Windows 11. When you open the page, scroll down and look for the option download Windows 11 disk image ISO for x64 devices. Select this multi-edition because this multi-edition ISO consists of various editions of Windows 11 and will be focusing on the Pro edition only, and click on download. Select the product language and confirm. Click on 64-bit download and my ISO download has been started, and I can see the ISO download has been triggered. It will take some time. Let's wait for it. Meanwhile, when ISO is downloading, let's come to our next section where we are going to create the Intune account. Open the Google page and search for the create Intune trial account, and you have to click on the very first page, try Microsoft Intune for free. Once you open it, click on Intune setup account page, and this is where we can see that we are going to create a new Intune trial account, Intune plan 1 trial account, which consists of 25 users and which is going to be valid for 30 days. So enter the email ID, click on setup account, provide your name, your phone number, which is compulsory, provide the details as well, company name, company size, select the region, country or region, and click on next. Microsoft wants to verify the account using the text message, so just click on do the verification part. Okay, so here is where I have to do some kind of configuration related to the domain I need to configure. So first of all, let me make a simple name, Manish, and this is a domain name. Actually, it's going to be a subdomain under the .onmicrosoft.com, so I can go with any name. So probably let me use mbtraining03.onmicrosoft.com. click on save. It is going to verify whether this is available or not. This domain is available. Yes, I can see the domain is available now. As you can see that I am going with the domain mbtraining03.onmicrosoft.com. You can use your own custom domain, but that is a very advanced kind of option where the organization would like to prefer to use their own domain, which requires a different kind of configuration. But this Autopilot configuration, this video is all about making things pretty simple. So our domain is going to be mbtraining03.onmicrosoft.com. Here you have to provide the payment details, so your Visa, MasterCard details. But don't worry, your account is going to be a trial account, so it is not going to continue after 30 days. So your account is going to expire after 30 days. So no need to be worried about this option. And I can see I have got the confirmation, so things are absolutely looking fine. So if I click on get started, it is going to take me to the admin.microsoft.com. What I mean to say is that not only I have the Intune account, but my Entra ID configuration has also been done. So what I need to do is to go for the second option for the recipe. Remember that Microsoft Entra ID P1 or P2. See, Microsoft Entra ID P1 or P2 can be configured, means I can go with that subscription with the trial version by going to the marketplace. Click on all products, search for Microsoft Entra ID. Scroll down. I'm looking for the trial account. I can see Microsoft Entra ID P2 is there, but $13.50. I'm looking for the trial account. Yes, I can found the Microsoft Entra ID P1. Entra ID P1 and P2 has some specific difference which I am not going to cover in this video. Entra ID P1 trial account looks good for the purpose of the Autopilot. Why exactly I need Microsoft Entra ID? Because of the automatic enrollment. Because through the Autopilot process, when the user logs in, it registers, the device gets registered to the Entra ID and also enrolls to the Intune automatically. For the automatic enrollment, this is required. So we need to have the Entra ID P1 or P2. Let's click on details and start your free trial. Once again, you don't have to be worried because after 30 days it is not going to continue unless you are going with another Microsoft Entra ID P1 account, which is not the trial account. So this is going to provide you the 25 licenses. The website is saying that I need to provide some other configuration which is missing related to the registration number. So let me continue so that I will be able to perform the activities. So this free account is asking for the tax ID. The moment I provide that detail, that should be good. My details are updated. Now I can simply go and again search for that Microsoft Entra ID P1 trial account. Let me continue with the starting of the free trial account for Microsoft Entra ID P1. Click on try now. So I am ready with the two configuration, two licenses. One is Microsoft Intune plan 1 and second is Microsoft Entra ID P1. So I can verify those settings if I go to the billing and licenses. So you can see Intune. Intune means it's an Intune plan 1 account, which is very basic account, but it is sufficient for the autopilot. And second is Azure Ready Directory Premium P1. Azure Ready Directory P1, or we can say Microsoft Entra ID P1, which is the new name. Meanwhile, I can see my ISO has been downloaded for Windows 11. You can see the Windows 11 ISO is there, which we are going to use at later stage. Before that, we need to do some other configuration. Now our fourth requirement was to have a VM and with the Hyper-V. So we can do that thing right now. Let me create a Hyper-V, that virtual machine on Hyper-V. As I told you, you can have your own device also, but I have the Hyper-V configured on my device because in Pro and Enterprise you can have the Hyper-V. You don't have to pay for that. It's a free product. So I can simply go and create a new virtual machine. Let me quickly go through a few of the Windows setup phase to complete the Windows 11 installation. As it was a multi-edition, as I told you previously, that we downloaded the Windows 11 multi-edition. So just make sure you are not selecting the home because home is not supported. Education is supported, Pro is also supported. So I'm going with the Pro edition, Windows 11 Pro. Click next. Accept the agreement. Next. Custom. Next. Let me configure the configuration. Let me complete the configuration of Windows 11 so that we are into full OS. Our Windows 11 device is ready. Our first lesson is completed. Now let's come to the configuration of the Intune, which is required. It's a very basic thing which is for any Intune or Autopilot configuration. So we are into the admin.microsoft.com. Our preparation for the Intune has already been done, where we have a tenant for the Entra ID. We have for the Intune, that account has been created, but we have not configured anything as of yet. So this is where we are going to do our first configuration. We will be logging into the Intune portal and we will be doing few of the stuff. We will be logging on to multiple portals like Intune portal, Entra ID portal also, and admin.microsoft.com. So there are multiple portals where the task can be performed. So to make sure that our Intune Autopilot configuration is in place. So let's begin. You have to log on to the portal.azure.com. This Azure portal is about everything related to the Azure. So we are not too much interested related to the lot of service for Azure. We are only interested for the Microsoft Entra ID. Search for Microsoft Entra ID. This is where our majority of time will be focused upon in the Azure portal. And hang on, this is not the Intune portal. Intune portal is for the device management. This is all about the management of the identities. So we are into the Azure portal. So the very first thing is, if I go to the properties, the name of my Entra ID is Manish Bangia. So Manish Bangia, that doesn't make a good sense. So let me make it something MB Training 003. So this is what I use for the name MB Training 03. So that will make much more better impact to use the correct name. Click on save. Now let's go to manage devices and device settings. Why exactly we are going over here is, for the Intune device to be enrolled, it's a two-step process. The first step is that it has to be registered to the Entra ID. So we need to make sure that users are allowed to join to the Microsoft Entra. We are into the device settings. Just make sure that users may join devices to Entra is selected as all. You can also go with selection by clicking on the selected and specify a specific group. But here, just for the sake of easy understanding, let's go with the all. So yes, our Entra ID configuration, our users are allowed to join to the Entra for all the devices. That configuration is done. Second setting is we are already allowing the user to join to Entra ID, but now we have to do another setting as well, which is we have to allow device to enroll to the Intune. For that, we have to go to the Intune portal, intune.microsoft.com. See, whether you are opening the Intune portal or the Entra ID portal or Azure portal, you are using the same object and identity. So few of the things related to users groups will be absolutely same. So here I need to go to the devices, click on enrollment and click on automatic enrollment. So here I can see the MDM user scope is selected to none. So it means the users are not going to be enrolled. So I have to select on all and click on save. I can go with the sum also by specifying a specific group, but for easy understanding, I am going with the all option. Click on save. I'm not going with the MAM user scope. MAM means Windows Information Protection, because that's not the scope of this Autopilot video is. I'm focused upon the MDM user scope. Here I'm allowing the user to enroll the device automatically when the Autopilot is going to perform. Click on save. This similar setting for the MDM user scope is also available into the Entra ID portal as well. If I go over here into the Entra ID, scroll down and click on Mobility, MDM and VIP. Click on Microsoft Intune, and here I can see the MDM user scope. It's the same setting. So whether you are going to make change into the Azure portal or into Intune portal, the things are exactly same. Now let's go and create a user. I can create the user directly from here, going to users. I can also do the same thing over here, going to the user. But Microsoft is making some recent changes that they wanted that the user, that license assignment can only be done in the future using the admin.microsoft.com. So I'm going to use another portal. This is our first portal where actually we were looking for the subscription for Intune Plan 1. So come to the admin.microsoft.com. Here, active user, I can see one user. So here I'm going to create a user and going to assign a license also. Click on add a user, user 1. I'm just going to provide a manual password. I'm going to provide a password for this user. I click on next. When you are assigning a license, so you can see that the user has been created. We are in the process of creating the user. It is asking about the location, select the location, and it is also asking about that to assign the license. So we have to assign both the license, Microsoft Intune Plan 1 license and Azure AD Directory P1 or Microsoft Entra ID P1, I could say. Click on next. I'm not going to specify any other option. Click next and finish adding. And my user account has been created. Just monitor. The username is test-user1 at mymbtraining03. It's a subdomain. Then .onmicrosoft.com and click on close. So I can say the user is created. Once again, I can go and verify. Click on test-user1. Click on licenses. I can see 2 licenses are assigned. So we completed 2 tasks, created a user as well as assigned the appropriate license to that specific user, which is going to be used for the Autopilot. Now once again come to the Azure portal, Here I'm going to do the another configuration related to the company branding. Company branding is something, think about it, when the user is logging on to the device, the Autopilot device, for the very first time, it provides user credential. You might need to have a kind of experience that the background of your corporate. You might also wanted to give that welcome to our organization, some kind of uh, the discrimination, that some kind of disclaimer should be there that you should be authorized user to log on to that domain, right? So that kind of configuration we can do by specifying the company branding, though it's not mandate, but I would highly recommend that even if you're doing in a test lab, so you do that kind of configuration. So in company branding, click on default sign in, and this is where we are going to do the customization. This customization is going to related to all the kind of icons, means banners, background we are going to specify. For the sake of simplicity, I have downloaded or I have created those things, image, background, icons already, and it's there in the folder. I'm going to share it into the GitHub also, so that you can go and use those files which I have provided for the testing purpose. Here you can see the custom, that company branding, the image, background and everything I have created. This is what I'm going to use. Click on the fave icon. I'm selecting the banner logo, square logo, for the light theme and square logo for the dark theme. Username hint text, it's also a very good option. If I specify some kind of information over here, right, for the username, it might give a good experience. I will show you when we are going to run the Autopilot. So username field will be shown as @mbtraining03.onmicrosoft.com. So user will be aware of, if he or she is not able to remember the complete domain name, they will be able to understand it, that yes, this is the format they have to use. For example, my name. For example, here I am talking about test user @mbtraining03.onmicrosoft.com. I can also specify the sign in page text also. Okay, so I have specified you should be the authorized user to log into the mbtraining03.onmicrosoft.com. That's it. Our company branding is also done. And now finally we are into the Autopilot configuration. Now the configuration what we are going to do will be specifically related to the Autopilot. Till now what we have done is sufficient for us to deploy any application configuration profile, any MDM policies, Windows Update for Business policies, anything. But now whatever we are going to do, it is only related to the Autopilot. For that we have to go to the Intune portal, go to devices, enrollment. For Intune we are going to focus upon this area, the enrollment. This is where all the configuration is going to happen. The very first thing is we have to create a dynamic group for the Autopilot. Click on the groups. The very first thing is we have to create the group for the Autopilot. So what we mean to say is that any device, any kind of Autopilot profile or any application, we are going to target to a group. We need to have that group, right? So for that Autopilot group we have to create that group. Click on new group. Let's make it as dynamic Autopilot group, and I'm going to use the membership like a dynamic device. Why I'm going to use a dynamic device, let me show you. Click on the add dynamic query, click on edit and paste this query. This is something which is already available in the Microsoft documentation. So what exactly I am doing is I'm creating a group which has a value of ZTD ID. So what is ZTD ID? Any Autopilot device which is uploaded, the hardware hash of any device which is uploaded to the Intune portal will be having the ZTD ID. So what that ZTD ID means, that this device there is a hardware hash attached to that device. Hence I'm going to create a single group which is going to be, so what exactly I'm doing is that any device which has uploaded to whose hardware hash been uploaded to the Intune portal, will become part of that group automatically. So even though I have not done any hardware hash uploading right now, but I'm just making the group ready in advance. So click on OK. So my group membership has been created by clicking on create. The group is created, but right now there will not be any member because I have not uploaded any hardware hash for any device as of yet. But the moment I upload the hardware hash, it will become part of this group. So if I go to this group right now, members, nothing is there, but it's okay, our group is done. Now second thing is we are going to create the deployment profile. Go to devices, enrollment, under Windows Autopilot, click on deployment profile. We are going to create our first deployment profile for the Autopilot. Click on Windows PC, demo 1. Convert all target device to Autopilot. For existing devices, let's go with the no. So click on next. So what is Windows Autopilot deployment profile? What is Autopilot deployment profile? Autopilot deployment profile gives the user experience, means when they are switching on the device, how the things will be interacting with them. For example, whether it is going to be user driven, means user has to enter the credentials, or it is going to be automatic. So here we are going to go with the user driven. It also controls a lot of other things in the out of box experience thing. For example, the language selection, accept, EULA, license agreement, those kind of options we can disable, means we can hide those options. We can also take care of the making sure that user is a standard user. So what I mean by standard user means when we are going through the out of box experience for a normal device, when a user enters the username password, that user becomes the administrator of that device. But for the corporate, we don't want that thing to happen. So here through deployment profile, we can configure that option. We can also configure the naming convention, that what kind of host name we can generate. So let's have a look at what are the options we can configure. So here in the out of box experience, I'm specifying the user driven. Self deploying option is also there, but this is what we want, user driven. Now there is an option, join to Microsoft Entra ID. We are going with Microsoft Entra join, though we can also go with the Microsoft Entra hybrid join, but that is not the focus of this video. Microsoft Entra hybrid join means you are joining to Entra ID join. Also you are joining to Microsoft Entra as well as to on-premises Active Directory. But let's go with the Entra join. We wanted to hide the software license terms, hide, so that's a good option. Privacy settings, hide, that's a good option. Hide change account options, again hide. User account type, administrator or standard. So we are going with the standard. We don't want the user to be administrator. Allow pre-provisioning. Let's go with the no. I'm not going to cover about the pre-provisioning. Pre-provisioning allows pressing the Windows keys 5 times and to initiate the installation without entering the user credential. But let's focus upon the user driven type. Language region, this is the option you can select with. I'm going with the default option. Automatically configure keyboard, yes. And now apply device name template. Right now it's showing us no. Let me click on yes. I wanted to create a specific hostname configuration, that hostname to be generated. Currently there are two parameters supported. One is the serial number of the device and another is the random number. So you can see if I have to use serial number, I have to use percentage serial number percentage, and for random number I have to use percentage rand colon x percentage. So I'm going to use something like this, AULT dash percentage rand, and let me give it 8 characters. I think it looks good. So the host name generated will be AULT dash, and the next 8 characters will be the random numbers. I can use serial number also with percentage serial number percentage. Click on next. Here I am going to target to the group which I previously created, so that I am making things ready. Dynamic Autopilot group. Of course right now there is no device, so it is not going to target on any device right now. It's okay. Click on next, create. So my Autopilot deployment profile is created. That was the number one thing, the most important thing which has been done. After deployment profile, I'm going to go to the next option, enrollment status page. What is enrollment status page? Enrollment status page gives us the opportunity to enable the application and configuration when the user is doing that autopilot provisioning, when the provisioning is happening, when the user enters the credentials, they are able to see that. By default, that option is not enabled because this is the default enrollment status page. If I go to this option, I can see show app and profile configuration is showing as no. So rather than making changes into the default configuration, that default enrollment status page, it's always advisable to have a new ESP page which will take the priority. Here we need to take the advantage of creating the multiple enrollment status page. The lower the priority, it will take the advantage over. It means it will take the priority over the default one. Let's click on create, give it a name. I wanted to enable the show app and profile configuration progress. So when I enable it, I can see a lot of options I have enabled. The very first option is show an error when installation takes longer than the number of minutes. So autopilot will fail if it is taking more than 60 minutes. So you can change that option. For example, let me make it 90 minutes. Show custom message when time limit or error occurs. Setup could not be completed. Please try or contact the support for help. Means you can specify your team name, your name, so that when any error comes, they know that which team has to be contacted. Okay, when autopilot fails, do we want to enable the collection of the log files? Yes, make it yes. Only show page to devices provisioned by Autopilot UBI. I'm making it yes. Block device use until all apps and profiles are installed. Yes. So this is also a good option because I want that all applications to be installed before the autopilot is completed. Allow user to reset the device if installation fails. Let's click on yes, so that user has the opportunity. If something goes wrong, they can reset the device and reinitiate the autopilot. Allow users to use device if installation error occurs. No, it's a good option. We don't want that the configuration profiles applications which we have targeted, if it fails, then also user can use. No, that's why this option is a good option. Block device use until the required apps are installed if they are assigned to the user. So right now the selected option is all. It means whatever the applications we are targeting to the autopilot device, to the autopilot deployment profile, it will be waiting for all those applications to get it installed. But if we go with the select option, we can specify the blocking applications. For example, there are two applications for the VPN or something, Microsoft 365, which are very important. We wanted to add it like a blocking application. So autopilot will wait for that application to get completed, and rest other applications, for example, there are 10 applications, other 8 applications will be installed at a later stage. It will be keep on installing, but it will not be blocking you to log into the device. So autopilot device will be ready right after the installation of two applications. So let me just go with all right now. Click on next. So my ESP is ready. Once again, I have to target to a group. I'm going to target to the same group which I created previously. All done that autopilot devices will be getting this ESP. Done. Next, create. For the demonstration purpose, I would like to target an application also, the easiest application which I can create. So if I go to the apps, Windows, click on add, I'm going to create the Microsoft 365 apps. Click on select. Because it's a SaaS, I'm not creating any command line or something. I'm not going to upload any application. It's not a Win32 app. It's a very simple application. It is going to be created within a second. Once I click on select, everything is there. I can see everything is ready. All the command lines and everything has been created automatically. We don't have to specify anything. Here it is showing that what applications we can select the applications. So yes, I'm going with the default option, architecture 64-bit, default file format, just specify anything. Update channel, select the semi-annual enterprise channel. Just go with the default option. Next, again I'm going to target to our autopilot group. Done. Create. So just remember, we targeted 3 things to our autopilot dynamic group. One was the deployment profile, second is the ESP, and third is the Microsoft 365 app. And you have seen that what kind of configuration we have done. For example, it's a user driven. we are making sure that the naming convention should be AULT dash. We are making sure the user will be a standard user. We are also making sure through the ESP that the deployment, the autopilot will not be completed unless the Office 365 is not installed, and we will be able to see the installation, and those kind of things will be visible to us, that application installation and everything, right? Let's see how it goes. But where is the device? We have not uploaded any device. Hardware hash is not uploaded. So now this is where our old device which we prepared previously is going to help us. Our Windows 11 device is ready. So what we are going to do is we need to upload the hardware hash from this device. So what exactly is hardware hash? Hardware hash is the information of a device which captures the serial number, product ID and other information related to the hardware. And this is a very unique information of a device which consists of so many parameters related to the motherboard, the disk, the RAM, a lot of things are there. So anytime any specific hardware is changed for that device, the hardware hash value will be changed. So we need to upload the hardware hash of a device to the Intune portal, so that we can understand that this device belongs to a specific corporate. And what we are going to do right now actually will not be required on day-to-day basis, because this is something a vendor is going to do for us. For example, Dell, HP, Lenovo, from wherever you are buying the device, they are going to upload the hardware hash on your behalf, and that device will be resealed and packed and will be given to the user or your service desk, which will be handing it over to the user to initiate the autopilot provision on their own. But overall, just here for the demonstration purpose, that how the hardware hash has to be uploaded and how it makes the difference when we see in the Intune portal, because we have to target few other things also. So we will be doing it manually. To upload the hardware hash, first of all, you need to open the PowerShell. We need to install the script for the uploading the hardware hash, and the script name is get-WindowsAutopilot info. Script is installed. Now I can simply run the command to get the hardware hash info of the device. Before that, let me just create a folder. So I just created a folder with the name HWID. Now I can simply run the command to get the hardware hash information. Run the following command. We need to run this command so that we are allowing to run any PowerShell script. Now we are good to run the script. Get-WindowsAutopilot info.ps1 output file So what I'm doing is I'm running the get-WindowsAutopilot info, specifying the output file location, and it is going to save the demo hash.csv into chwid folder, and the file has been created. Let's see. Yes, I can see demo hash.csv is created. Let's have a look what exactly is there in this file. You can see device serial number, Windows product ID and hardware hash. If I look over here, device serial number is somehow visible to me, right? So that makes sense. Yes, the serial number information is captured. There is no information related to the Windows product ID, it's empty. And finally, hardware hash, which look like a character which is not easy to understand, but this is how the information of the device is protected. It is there. Using the other tools, we can get the information that what information is there, but this is what actually the hardware hash value will look like. And we are ready to upload this hardware hash to the Intune portal. Let's do that. I have copied the hardware hash to my local system. Go to devices, enrollment. All my devices for Windows Autopilot will be listed over here. If I go to devices, currently I have not uploaded any hardware, any device with the hardware hash, so we are not able to see anything. So we are going to import our first device. Click on import. select the CSV file, select the CSV file, demo hash, and click on import. This process may take some time, but I'm going to show you some interesting stuff. Once the device you are able to see, it will be changing the status from not assigned to updating to assigned. Let's have a look. Now I can see the device is listed with the serial number and the profile status is showing as not assigned. So it means the device currently is waiting. See, this device has already been targeted against a deployment profile. So soon the status is going to be changed. So let's click on refresh. This to happen. Yes, now the status has changed. You can see profile status is showing as pending. I'm refreshing it again. I'm waiting it to get it show as assigned. And finally, we can see under the Windows Autopilot devices, the profile status is showing as assigned. So means we are completely ready. A reset of the device is done. So let's switch on the device. Once the reset is done, you will be able to see the device will directly go to the out-of-box experience. This is the same phase where actually the organizations like the vendors, they used to shut down the device and hand it over to the user. So we are exactly at the same page, but now the difference is this device has become like a corporate device because its hardware hash has been already uploaded to the Intune Autopilot service, and it has some deployment profiles, applications, ESPs which has been targeted. So once the internet is connected, you will it will be asking you to connect to the Wi-Fi. So it's a virtual machine for me, so it is directly connected to the internet, or else it will be showing you a list of Wi-Fi. Once you connect it, it will directly connect to the Autopilot services and will be fetching the Autopilot profile if it is available. And as the hardware hash is unique, it is going to fetch the information from one specific tenant only. And you can see that MB Intune Training, my logo and the company branding is right in front of me. I can see sign in as at mbtraining03.onmicrosoft.com, and you can also see the disclaimer: you should be authorized user to log into mbtraining03.onmicrosoft.com. This is giving me a good indication that this device has exactly downloaded the correct Autopilot profile. So let's log in with the user. And which user? I created a username test user 1, which has the Microsoft Intune Plan 1 license and Microsoft Entra ID P1 license assigned. Let's see. Enter the password. This will continue with the Autopilot setup. So you might have seen that it has not asked for me any MFA at multi-factor authentication. If I like, I can enable that option, but I just wanted to keep this video very simple. So providing the username password. Now it is fetching all the information, the policies and everything, and it is going to start now. So you can see now the device preparation has started. It consists of three phases: device preparation, device setup, and account setup. So if I go to the device preparation, it's going to be completed very fast. Securing your hardware, it is going to connect to organization network, which has already happened. Registering your device to mobile management, that is also completed. And preparing your device, it's doing a very basic kind of thing, that it is trying to register the device to the Microsoft Entra ID and enrolling the device. So everything related to your organization, contacting the organization and getting the contacting the organization and enrolling, it is going to happen during the device preparation phase. So these three phases are very important. Device preparation, which happens very fast, it might not take more than 1 or 2 minutes. Then the actual phase, device setup, is going to come, which I'm going to show you now. Meanwhile, if you wanted to capture the logs and you wanted to see more status, then you have to press Ctrl-Shift-D. Once you open it, you can see the Windows Autopilot diagnostic, configuration profile, deployment info, and other status. Everything will be shown over here. So let me just click no close and coming back to the old device ESP phase. So device preparation still running. Device preparation phase has been completed now. Let me close it. Now device setup has started. So device setup is going to apply the security policies. There is one policy, it's a default policy which is coming through Autopilot. certificates and network connections, so there is nothing I have targeted related to it. But the important thing is the apps 0 of 1 install. You remember that I targeted Microsoft 365, and also in the enrollment status page I use the option that block the applications, block the autopilot deployment profile until unless the application installation is not completed. So because of that, it is waiting for that application to be installed. So somehow if I have think about 8 to 10 applications, so I can have a complete control that which applications should get installed during the autopilot phase, and other applications which are not so important application, I will not be using it as a blocked application, so that those applications can come at later stage when the user logs in. So there are a lot of complicated scenarios also where I can use a device ESP, user ESP kind of thing, where only user logs in, then only it is going to install. But just trying to make sure that you understand the very basic things, that how the things can be controlled. And once the device setup phase is completed, then the account setup phase will come. Account setup phase is nothing but it's a user setup phase. So device preparation and device setup more are related to a device ESP, and account setup is more related to user account. Means if I have targeted any application to the user, what will happen, that device preparation, device setup, once it completes, you will be able to see the control alt delete page. Means you will be able to log on to the device, and when you enter the credentials again, then the account setup phase is going to run. And the purpose is it is going to verify if there is any application which is targeted on that device, and it will again going to re-verify the policies and other stuff. Let's see how it goes. And we can see the application installation status is showing as installed. And here we are in full Windows 11 OS. We can try and enter the username credentials. And now you can see device preparation, device setup is completed, account setup has started. Actually the autopilot build is completed. Now account setup is more about the user account. As user has logged in, it is doing some kind of other verifications, for example joining your organization, securing policy, certificate, network connections. Though it was already done, it is again re-verifying the things. And final thing comes is application. It is trying to see if there is any application which is targeted to the account setup, or mean to say at user level. Though this account setup is not so important, I would say we can disable this option. There is a setting for that, for which we don't want for user to go through this account setup phase, because it for me it doesn't look so important. I'm going to cover another video regarding this account setup, how to disable. For me, I think that the device preparation and device setup phase itself is self-efficient. For the autopilot profile, account setup is not required. I would say I don't feel so important. Yes, apps, no setup needed, as I did not target any application, so it showed no application needed. Now it is asking to configure me Windows Hello. I haven't done anything related to Windows Hello configuration on Intune. This setting is coming via the Azure. So though we have control in Intune, we can enable, disable, do the kind of configuration, but I'm just showing you that how it will look like. For the Windows Hello for Business, it requires the MFA to be configured, so it is prompting me that I need to configure that thing. So just don't want to do it right away. Let me close it, skip for now, and that's it. I'm into full OS, and I can see the Word, Excel, everything, the applications, MS Office application is installed. And if I open the command prompt, let me see the host name. Yep, that's what I was expecting, AULT dash and the random number. So can I open, am I the admin or the normal standard user? Let me see. I'm trying to open the command prompt with admin. You can see elevated access. It is trying to ask another username password who has the admin access, so I am not able to open the command prompt with admin. Let's go to the Intune portal. If I go to the device, Windows, and now I can see one device listed over here. So this is the same device which actually I just completed the autopilot provisioning completed. I hope this video was quite informative for you. I will be coming up with more videos related to more deep dive into the autopilot, troubleshooting and other stuff. Thank you so much.